IDW Sonic Comic Issue 32. Eggman calling himself the greatest of party crashers reminds me of Sonic Boom. Too bad he's not as entertaining as that Eggman. There's some time wasted as Amy refuses to give an order just because she gave the leader position to Jewel, which I don't think is in character forever. And Jewel immediately proves she's not qualified for this because she just knows how to handle paperwork. Jet says he just wants to help himself to the gems and get out of here. Why don't any of the heroes hear him? What are the Babylon rogues spending the money on that they keep stealing gems, which must be worth a lot? I can only assume that they're rich and no amount of money is good enough for them. Because I'm sure Wave would need a lot of money to be able to keep doing her inventing, to keep getting materials. Vector tells Tails to use his tablet to mess with the mecha's programming. Wirelessly, I guess. That's pretty convenient. No better than Nicole. Why isn't Eggman's mecha trying to attack anyone all of the time they're talking? Awfully polite of him to sit there and wait for them to come up with a plan. Vector tells the flying guys to try to bust into the cockpit, and tells the rest to aim for the mecha's legs. I started out taking Eggman seriously, but I didn't expect him to patiently wait for them to make a plan first. I figured it would be too easy if Jet got the gems. He asks where the gems are, and we see Rouge saying it'll hurt returning them, but it's worth it for now. Huh? General gets shot immediately, and Eggman says he's got two wayward creations back under his control. Even though General is not an Eggman creation, I guess he has some Eggman bought material in him for when he put Emerald back together with it, so he considers him to be his creation, but he's really not. He was invented by somebody else. He just repaired Emerald. Makes me wonder if the writer even knows this. So now he has twice the combat coding processing power. It's polite of Sonic to call Blaze Your Highness, and it's pretty polite of her to ask how he's doing and humor him by reluctantly calling him his new ridiculous name, Mr. Needlemouse, which he insisted on just because he doesn't identify with his older identity, which made sense for Eggman because his older identity was evil. But not as much for Sonic, who you'd think would be happy to call himself a hero. He says he was just taking a jog around the island, and he appreciates how lovely the evening is. Blaze and the Koala appreciate the fact that he's at least still got his appreciation of running. Blaze is asked if she's sure this will work. She actually admits that she's not sure because they don't know the details of how Sonic arrived or lost his memory. I assume that it's part of the same reason Eggman did, trauma-induced amnesia, which I know I doubt it made sense for Eggman, but that's because he's just a regular human. Sonic's a magical hedgehog. So I figured with all the chaos energy in him, it makes sense that he'd function a little differently. Maybe one of his magical abilities from all that chaos energy is being able to cause himself amnesia because he wants to forget a certain story arc so badly. He's better off with amnesia right now. At least that way he's happy. That's why I don't find his amnesia tedious, because it's a blessing in disguise for him. Well, with Shadow, he wanted his memories back, so we did too. Blaze hopes she can use the power of the Solar Emerald to bring his memories back. I hope it won't work. That'd be a Deus Ex Machina that doesn't make any sense. They can't just do anything the plot demands. They're just a ripoff of the Chaos Emeralds. Why would they be able to restore memories and not the Chaos Emeralds? Apparently even their own Guardian isn't aware of all their limitations. It would actually make more sense if she was sure that it would work. But then I'd question why she didn't do this to restore his memories right away. It just doesn't make any sense that she would know everything about what they're capable of doing and what they're not. How long have the Soul Emeralds been on her planet? You think that everything about them would have been recorded in the history by now. She would know all those things if anybody. Sonic asks what she's talking about and why she's on fire, and why it's so familiar, as he looks worried. Tails says he wrote some hacking code to eject Gemerald, but he needs a hard line to upload it, because apparently there's no wireless receiver. It was nice of Rouge to call him Sweetie, but it was also creepy because she's so much older than him and not remotely close with Tails like Sonic is. She references that breaking and entering is her thing. Another character moment reminding us of who her character actually is. She finds an access panel on the back. and says the construction on it is shoddy and the thing was rushed, so he probably didn't do much to hide it. Thankfully, that's explained to explain why she had an easy time doing this. Good thing Tails thanks her as he plugs it in. Gemma gets outright shocked. That was over the top. It was clearly just to look dramatic. He reboots, and Tails and Rouge carry him while flying. And Rouge realizes that Omega is part of the mecha and it's not just a weird cosmetic choice. I didn't notice either, to be fair. I just saw another mecha of Eggman's and got bored. So naturally, with all the mechas they've seen, they wouldn't feel like looking at it too closely, because they wouldn't assume anything was different about it. Tails says he's hardwired into the chases and wants to see if there's an ejection protocol. Oh, reality ensued because Eggman actually heard Tails' hacking talk. Rouge tells Tails to get down as they're aimed at or something, and Omega says he must destroy Eggman, but is conflicted at the other programming telling him to destroy Eggman's enemies. Inconveniently, with so much to shoot, he's too conflicted to aim. That makes sense, I guess. Hopefully it's because of Tails' hacking that he got his original desires back. Vector says the barrage has stopped. What barrage? As far as I'm concerned, Eggman was doing nothing. Because he's stuck, they attack the mecha, and Eggman is at least competent enough to have a laser gun. If he had a laser arm, or laser wristband, that'd be cooler. I wish I actually saw Cheese impact Eggman's head. He presses a button and ends up with a dome over him and gets Omega to scare him. Then we see some smoke coming off Sonic, and Blaze asks him how he feels now. She burned him? I wouldn't blame him for being fed up with her at that point. He'd be scared and run away. He says that he feels dizzy, but a lot less warped. Really? The Soul Emeralds did return his memories? Just because he got reminded of Blaze's fire powers? That's convenient. Why didn't he remember everything after just seeing her face at that point? That's just as familiar. But I can't help but find this underwhelming. This is yet another thing he has in common with Panders. Panders had Sonic with amnesia for like 2 issues. It makes it feel like him having amnesia was only there for pointless padding to force him to not be on his planet for multiple issues. Because barely anything was done with the idea. He might as well have just had one scene where he was with Blaze. This one! Instead of wasting comic space on something that led to nothing. I want the Soul Dimension to be world built just as much as Mobius is after all the time it's been in the franchise. The problem is I can't imagine why Sonic would be forced by the plot to need to world build the Soul Dimension. It just seems like something's missing if he goes there and just goes to one place. This is easily the worst that the amnesia thing has ever been handled. At least Shadow had a whole game dedicated to resolving it. He at least thanks her after remembering himself as Supersonic. And he says sorry for crashing into her garden. He asks her to send him home since his friends must be worried. She politely tells him to say hi to Cream for her, and Sonic politely tells her to come visit soon because his friends miss her. She thanks him and he gets warped away. I think if Sonic was written to have been sleeping constantly and catching up on his sleep, instead of having amnesia, that could have been just as good of a justification from taking a long time to go back home as amnesia that makes no sense. So he didn't have to have amnesia, and it wouldn't have felt like a wasted idea. Nothing was done with his amnesia. It wasn't taken advantage of because it's not like he was put in a position that he's usually in and doesn't know how to deal with it. Sonic the Sunday strips did his amnesia better. Sonic comes back and calls Tails little bro, and immediately uses his spin dashing around to wreck the mecha and bring Omega out of the core. It at least makes sense that his Sonic speed would be so damaging to something, especially something made in a rush. And it's realistic that he's pausing while talking to Omega because he's so heavy. Omega is finally free to blast through the mecha again. At least the depressing idea of him being back with Eggman was wrapped up quickly. Sonic compliments Omega, and Eggman and Sonic waste a ton of time bantering, modern Sonic style. Amy hugs Sonic from behind and admits that she was worried she'd never see him again. Then Tails hugs him too, and fortunately Sonic smiles. I wish I saw their entire bodies though. It looked better. So they have a victory group hug on Tangle's suggestion. Jewel reminds them that the town is still on fire, And Sonic says it's easily fixable. Good to see them doing a hero thing. This issue, by Ian Flynn, is about Sonic being sent back home by Blaze after she actually uses the Soul Emeralds as a Deus Ex Machina to bring his memories back to normal, because they have new powers as the plot demands, which is a bad writing trope. I guess the writer thought he wrote himself into a corner and couldn't think of any other way for his memory to come back right away. But it coming back on his own would be more believable, because that's actually a thing in real life. While it would have also been convenient if it turned out there was a magical memory restoring gem in the soul dimension, and at least it would have made sense because it wouldn't be giving new powers to something old out of nowhere. A court wizard for the soul dimension could have given it to Blaze. I can't help but be underwhelmed by how easily Sonic having amnesia was done away with, and how quickly he was sent home. So much for him traveling the soul dimension and world building it. At least it doesn't have the metal virus on it. Instead, he really did destroy it. And the story pulls to Sonic X because everything the heroes did in the fight against the mecha was pointless because Sonic destroys it in one panel. Which at least makes sense, but undermines their accomplishments. It turns their accomplishments into padding that you could have skipped and lost nothing. I thought they'd prove they could beat it on their own, so I would be proud of them. It makes it seem like Sonic returning should have been pushed back. I thought we were going into an arc where Sonic wouldn't be around and the heroes would prove themselves without him, because that felt unique. It was a relief that Omega and General got free of Eggman's control, but it was lame that we barely saw what Eggman was doing to try to attack them. So it literally came off as him sitting there doing nothing the whole time. Especially since the heroes had time to make a plan without being shot at. I guess the story wasn't too bad. But couldn't the artists have had the heroes make the plan and had Tails do the hacking while they were hiding? And, most importantly, always showed us Eggman having that barrage against various heroes. We could have always seen what was going on with the mecha the whole time.